Hello agents, and welcome back to another daily episode of my beginner and returning players guide series, your daily farming guide for Tuesday, March 2nd. In this series, I cover a lot. We got the Dark Zone exclusives with the target loot map, named items, highlights from the weekly vendor resets, including Clancy, who resets tomorrow, and build and farming suggestions as well. This is Shadow Gaming, and if you're new to the channel or enjoy this video, consider pressing the thumbs up and subscribe buttons below, and if not, give it a thumbs down, and always hit those bell notifications so you never miss a daily morning video, and comment below if you have any questions or feedback. Alright agents, let's go ahead and get this thing started now. Alright agents, so starting off with the Dark Zones and of course vendor reset highlights, which just reset today. I'd probably recommend getting, of course the Virginian DZ West, and then probably the Contractor's Gloves at the theater, maybe the 10% skill haste mod at Haven. And then over here in the DZ East vendor, we got the Hollow Man mask with 10% health damage on it. I've been wrong this whole time, it's not been 8%, it's been 10% health damage, so I definitely recommend picking this up and possibly re-rolling this armor to 15% weapon damage and just taking the status effects, or that's probably what I would do, or at least get that to crit hit chance or crit hit damage from status effects. Now over in DZ West, we get Eligard, which of course you can get a couple of different named items here, but none of them are Dark Zone exclusive, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the south and east side area because those are the main highlights for today. So over here in DZ South today, we got submachine guns, which is probably my favorite target of loot in the Dark Zone, and probably a lot for you guys as well, because you know what I'm about to talk about, and especially it's an invaded Dark Zone this week, so just remember that it's just an increased chance, even more so now. So we're all talking about the Dark Winter with Perfect Killer and the Apartment with Perfectly Measured. I have both of them and I'll show you them right now. So first off, this is the Dark Winter. You want it with SMG damage, crit hit chance, and then 10% damage to targets out of cover, and it becomes Perfect Killer. Killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 50% crit hit damage for 10 seconds, and that always happens pretty much. And then of course here's the Apartment right here with Perfectly Measured. The top half of the magazine has a 20% rate of fire and negative 27% weapon damage, and the bottom half has negative 25% rate of fire but 33% increased weapon damage. This thing is a powerful monster. I definitely recommend picking up both of these for sure. Otherwise, you could still farm for the three exotics, the Lady Death, and then of course the Backfire, which you could just straight up farm for both of those. Otherwise, the Chatterbox, I'll have to put my Chatterbox quick 5-minute guide video in the top right card now that shows you how to do it. And those are the three exotics that you can grab up in the Dark Zone. And then of course you could also get some named items like the Safety Distance of Perfect Outsider and the Grudge with Perfect Vindictive, but the Safety Distance and the Grudge are not DZ exclusives, and the Grudge is also being sold at DZ South vendor actually, ironically, so if you want to grab it up you can pick it up. There's a screenshot above that shows the rolls on it. And then of course last but not least, DZ East, we got Hardwired. So of course I always mention running Butcher's build. He does 4-piece Hardwired, China Light chest piece with Unbreakable or Glass Cannon, the Vial Mask, and he runs the Jammer Pulse and the Firefly, and it's supposed to be pretty good. Otherwise you can farm for this because it comes with just a skill tier in the DZ, so if you want to just head in there and grab some that come with skill damage or skill haste or something like that. Otherwise, let's go check out what we got on the north side and invaded missions this week. Alright agents, north side target loot highlights. Starting off with the invaded missions this week, we got Grand Washington Hotel, so keep in mind for that for Puck's Blueprint for the Nemesis quests, which you can check out on my shadowgaming.network website that I will have in the pinned comment video description below. There'll be a step-by-step guide, and this is the final step to get the Puck's Blueprint to craft the Nemesis at the White House. The other one, of course, is American History Museum, and then of course Viewpoint Museum, and the two strongholds is District Union Arena, and then Tidal Basin as always. And also remember for Grand Washington Hotel, if you have all the parts required and you don't get it on the first drop, just go down here to toggle mission settings and then toggle mission mode, and you can reset it to invaded and non-invaded every time. Now my first recommendation at Camp White Oak, now of course that's Foundry Bulwark. Always keep in mind the chest and backpack are Iron Horse raid exclusive on normal difficulty. But otherwise, just put on 4 pieces of Foundry Bulwark and then an Emperor's Guard knee pads with 1% armor regen, and then 1 piece of course, Bellstone Armory for an additional 1% armor regen, and roll armor regen all over the build, and you've got one heck of a tank build for sure. Next up, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at Coney Island Ballpark. I'll make sure to put my double LMG build in the top right card, as well as my True Patriot probably next up. So that's going to be 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, the Coyote's Mask, and then of course Grupo Sombra gloves, or you can run the Contractor's gloves with the Pestilence or the Bullet King. Now, I never recommend farming for these skill attachments, definitely never recommend that, but of course True Patriot at Manny National Zoo, I will definitely recommend my, True Patriot SMG build in the top title card and bottom left overlay right now. Alright agents, so here it is right here. So it's just 4 pieces of True Patriot, and you want them all rolled with 170k armor if possible, and then a Sokolov chest with Intimidate for sure, the Memento backpack, and I rolled a Lady Death with it. And then of course I use the Rock and Roll shotgun. It's a DZ exclusive, perfectly extra, but the alternative would be the Mop with 10% armor on kill. And then you want to use the Orbit with perfect finisher. I mean, that's just kind of what you want on any DPS or DPS hybrid build. And then of course Kinley College is closed, and the summit you pick your own target to lose. So let's go check out what we got on the west and east side, and then New York City last. Alright agents, west side target loot highlights. Starting off with the gear sets, it only looks like we got a couple. So first off, tip of the Spirit Constitutional Hall, let's get that out of the way. It only increases specialization weapon damage, so that's why I always recommend running the Survivalist specialization with the crossbow. And then you could just use that crossbow to strip off the armor bars off of enemies, especially on legendaries and raids. It's really niche, but a lot of people, well, some people still use it, so you could farm for it if you'd like to. And then of course the only other one is Ongoing Directive over here at the Pentagon area. So I got 2 bleed damage builds for you guys. The first one is Ridgeway's Pride, 4-piece Ongoing Directive, and then you want to run the Anarchist Cookbook with Perfect Wicked, which you could farm for today at Lincoln Memorial. And then the second one's 4-piece Ongoing Directive, a Vile Mask, and the Badger Tough Packback with Creeping Death Talon on it. You want to run the Carnage with Perfect Sadist and the Scorpio with Septic Shock on both of those builds. And then of course, let's go ahead and start off with Golan Gear at Lincoln Memorial for regular targeted loot. You can farm the Anarchist Cookbook with Perfect Wicked here. What that does is gives you 18% weapon damage for 27 seconds upon applying a status effect, which you are constantly doing with Ongoing Directive. So that's the replacement for the Eclipse Protocol backpack, which gave us 30% amplified damage against status affected enemies, but that no longer works alone, the bonus system aggravator talent. And then next up we got shotguns at Tidal Basin Stronghold. So of course for shotgun target loot, you could do the Sweet Dreams with the Sandman talent, and the Scorpio of course with Septic Shock. Now the Sweet Dreams talent, that one, you can just melee one-hit kill any red or purple barred enemy, and the cooldown is a short 15 seconds. And that definitely works good on any tank or skill build, but for the Scorpio, it works on DPS, tank, skill, hybrids, all sorts of stuff. 1 shots like Poison, 3 is Confuse, 5 is Shock, and 7 is a 20% damage debuff, and this is rewarded at Season 4 level 55. I recommend both of those, and the other 4 would be the Mop with 10% armor on kill, and then of course the Rock and Roll Shotgun with Perfectly Extra, the Custom Inmate 70, and the Marine Super 90, and I always roll close and personal on those. And then next up we got Overlord at DCD HQ. You can farm the Floxus Prayer knee pads with 8% damage to targets out of cover, especially if you missed those almost God rolled piece at Cassie last week. Those were really good. It's multiplicative damage, the best type of damage in this game, paired with that 10% damage targets out of cover on your weapon. This is where you want to be at. Not all builds require this, but most all red DPS builds do. And then of course we got Empress at the White House, so I'll put my favorite turret and drone build in the top title card right now. That is 3 pieces of Empress, 2 pieces of Hana-Yu in the Waveform holster, running kinetic momentum on the chest piece, and the Force Multiplier backpack with perfect combined arms, which you could farm over here today at Federal Emergency Bunker. And of course I run the Capacitor and the Harmony with Perfect in Sync as my secondary. I use both of them regularly, so that's definitely a build worth farming for sure. And then of course with Empress, there's 2 named items. None of them are Darkstone exclusive. It's the Caesar's Guard chest piece with Perfectly Skilled and the Battery Pack with Perfectly Calculated. Otherwise, let's move on to Walker Harris & Co. at Bank HQ. Now at Bank Headquarters today, you can farm for the Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter. That's going to deal 150% of your last killing blow straight to the enemy's head, which is anywhere from 20 to 50 million a headshot. Now, of course, we got rifles at Foggy Bottom area. You got 2 exotics, the Merciless and the Diamondback. The Merciless, you're going to need to calm down with weapon handling on, any pieces of your gear, anywhere from 3 to 6, braced on your chest piece talent, or, 3-piece striker. The Diamondback, however, the only drawback is it only has 5 shots. It hits hard in PvE and PvP, or at least it used to before they nerfed rifles, and otherwise, the Diamondback's an overall pretty good ding weapon. And then, of course, I would highly recommend getting the Baker's Dozen with Perfect Lucky Shot and the Surge with Perfect Spike. Since the Harmony with Perfect Instinct is a DZ exclusive, those two are very good for DPS builds for Baker's Dozen, and then, skill damage builds for the Surge. And then, of course, we got Badger Tough over here at Potomac Event Center area, so you can farm the 0F's chest piece to Perfect Unbreakable. That will repair 100% of your armor upon it breaking, and the cooldown is 55 seconds, perfect for any DPS hybrid build. And really, last but not least, we got Hana U at Federal Emergency Bunker. You can farm for the Force Multiplier Backpack with Perfect Combined Arms. That's going to grant you 30% skill damage for only a short 3 seconds, so you always need to keep shooting. And that's upon, landing anything, headshot, body shot, whatever. As long as you hit something, it gives you that 30% skill damage, but only for 3 seconds. That's why I've been using the Tech Support or Perfect Tech Support Backpack lately. And the last thing I'll mention, of course, that I almost missed is Petrov at DARPA Research Labs. You can farm the Contractor's Gloves with 8% damage to armor built into it. It's perfect for all LMG builds, and then of course stacking damage to armor on your build. Otherwise, you can also buy the Contractor's Gloves at the theater vendor this week. And really, that's all my recommendations for the west side. Let's go check out the east side now, agents. Alright, agents, east side target loot highlights. It only looks like we got aces and 8s at East Mall area, which is a great area to farm for. This is a great headshot gear set. I always recommend 3 pieces of aces and 8s with 2 pieces of Heraldo Holding, 1 being a backpack with Composure, or my favorite, Vigilance. And then of course you want to run the Chain Killer chest piece to Perfect Headhunter, and your main weapon here is the Mantis, the exotic MMR, and the Ekim's long stick with Perfect Ranger is your backup weapon, but you're usually using the Mantis for 20 million a headshot. Now let's start off with some spicy targeted loot. We got, of course, Providence Defense at Capitol Building Stronghold. You can farm that Sacrifice chest piece with Perfect Glass Cannon, amplifying all damage you deal by 30%, but amplifying all incoming damage to you by 60%, so it works great on DPS builds and skill damage builds. And then, of course, we got Alp Summit over here at Space Administration HQ. If you guys have been hearing me the past week, if you are looking for that percussive maintenance backpack with Perfect Tech Support, giving you 25% skill damage for 27 seconds, then farm here today for sure, and it'll probably drop eventually. And I honestly think this is a strong contender against the Force Multiplier backpack, especially if you get a Murakami backpack, like with just regular tech support, but you lose 7 seconds, so the Perfect Tech Support's pretty good. And then of course we got LMGs at Air and Space Museum. You could farm the 2 exotics, the Bullet King and the Pestilence. The Bullet King you never have to reload, and the Pestilence you can get that damage ticked over 1 million per tick, but it's spaced into weapon damage, not status effects. And then there's a bunch of named LMGs in the bottom left overlay, the Black Friday and the Good Times. Those are the 2 Dark Zone exclusives. All the rest of them you can actually farm outside of the Dark Zone safely. And next up we got masks at Jefferson Plaza. You got 2 exotic masks here, the Coyotes and the Vile mask. The Coyotes is great for DPS builds, and only one of you needs to be wearing it to gain the benefit of it, which is crit hit chance and crit hit damage. And then with the Vile mask, it's great, and you increase the debuff damage by quite a bit if you run the Demolitionist specialization, so definitely keep that in mind when running for it. Otherwise, you can farm for the Punch Drunk mask with 20% headshot damage baked into it. If Douglas and Harding isn't available, I'd recommend farming that instead, but either way, you could farm for it mass target loot as well. Next up, we got MMRs at American History Museum. You can farm for the exotic Mantis straight up, no restrictions, but with the Nemesis, I'm going to have to point you to my shadowgaming.network website where it has a step-by-step guide on how to get the Nemesis exotic as well as some others. And then of course I recommend Ekim's long stick with Perfect Ranger and the White Death. Those are 2 really great MMRs, maybe even the Commando as well. And then of course we got pistol targeted loot at Viewpoint Museum. Like yesterday we had pistol targeted loot in the Dark Zone, so that's where you could have got the TDI card custom pistol or the Orbit with Perfect Finisher. Otherwise, you can't farm for them outside of the Dark Zone, unfortunately. And then here's Douglas and Harding at Jefferson Trade if you want to farm for that Punch Drunk. And then we got Murakami at Downtown East if you guys want to give that a shot for your turret and drone build for extra 20% skill duration. And last but not least, we got a couple of gear system mods at District Union Arena. You could farm this on Legendary if you want to try to get the best rolls on your mods possible, or Heroic. And then of course we got knee pads at Grand Washington Hotel. Now you got the Sawyer's knee pads and of course the Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads. Those are the two exotic knee pads in the game. The Ninja Bike is for running gun builds where you can vault and do cover to cover moves and you get 25% bonus armor and you instantly re-equip or reload your weapon. And then with Sawyer's knee pads, you just sit still and you gain 1% weapon damage up to 30% weapon damage, and then it just starts to lower by 1% as soon as you flinch your move. But that's about it for the Washington DC area. Let's go check out New York City last, agents. Alright agents, last but not least, we're here at New York City targeted loot highlights, and starting off with the gear sets, we got Hunter's Fury at Civic Center. I will definitely make sure to put my favorite Hunter's Fury build in the top right. That is 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury, the Death Grip gloves with 10% armor on kill, the Memento backpack, the Dark Winter, the Scorpio, and the Orbit with Perfect Finisher. That is an amazing build. It kind of just gets me through everything solo content, whether it be legendary or heroic, so definitely give it a try. And if you're looking for a little bit more damage builds in your Hunter's Fury builds, you could run a Sokolov chest with Obliterate, which is my favorite, or Intimidate, which is a lot of other people's favorites, the Memento backpack, 4-piece Hunter's Fury, and the same weapons, Dark Winter, Scorpio, and the Orbit with Perfect Finisher. And then next up we got Close Protocol at 2 Bridges. If I have enough cards, I'll put my fire damage build in the top right card now. That is 4 pieces of Eclipse, the Imperial Dynasty holster, and 1 piece of Golan gear for an additional 10% status effects, which you want rolled on all 6 pieces of your gear. And then of course I run that with the Pyromaniac with Perfectly Ignited and the Capacitor, and then also you want to run the Firestarter Chem Launcher and the Stinger Hive. That's great for all content. And then it looks like we got chest pieces of Stranded Tanker. If you're looking for the tardigrade, you can just straight up farm for it. Otherwise, the Ridgeway's Pride is a project that you have to do. Otherwise, always let your teammates know what you're farming for and vice versa, because if they drop it for you, it will complete the project. And then we got assault rifles next at the tombs. I don't really like farming the tombs, but if you really want to, you could farm for the chameleon with adaptive instincts. And if you've unlocked the 5 summit challenges for the capacitor, then it has joined the general AR targeted loot pool. Then you'll be able to refarm for it. Otherwise, just do the 5 summit challenges and it'll unlock and it'll give it to you, and you can do it on any difficulty. And then of course there's a bunch of named assault rifles in the bottom left overlay. The Rail Splitter with Perfectly Accurate, it's a Dark Zone exclusive, including probably the Maniac as well. The rest of them you can safely farm for in the Light Zone. Now right here we got Richter and Kaiser at Pathway Park. If you do want the Forge holster, it's a named holster in the Light Zone that gives you 50% shield health, which is equivalent to a whole skill tier worth of shield's health. Then I would farm Richter and Kaiser at Pathway Park instead of holsters over here at Wall Street today. But speaking of holsters at Financial District, you got 3 exotics, the Waveform, which is unlocked at Season 4 level 90, the Imperial Dynasty holster, and the Dodge City holsters. Now with the Dodge City, it's great for pistol builds, and headshot damage builds. The Imperial Dynasty holster is great exactly for what I use it for, Eclipse Protocol, like status effect, setting everything on fire, and the Waveform gives you 33% skill damage, alternating between your left and right skills. So it's really good for skill damage builds. Otherwise, the Forge holster I definitely recommend farming Richter and Kaiser for. I always recommend farming the brand over the type. And last but not least, we got backpacks at Battery Park. So anyone still looking for that Memento backpack or Acosta's Go bag with one in the hand, you could farm the Battery Park area today, the open world. Any activity that's within Battery Park will drop backpack targeted loot. So if you missed the Memento during Season 3, level 90 I think it was, or level 100, then definitely farm for backpack targeted loot and farm your heart out for it until you get it to drop. It is a must-have in this game for sure. Well agents, that was it for your daily farming guide for today. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider pressing those subscribe, like, and share buttons below, and if not, go ahead and just give it a thumbs down. If you'd like to become a member for extra support for the most part and some exclusive perks, which I'm working on more, you can click the join button down below, and of course thank you and shout out to all 5 of my channel members. And always remember to check the video description and pinned comment below for links to my ShadowGaming.network website, which has exotic guides, DZ exclusive guides, all sorts of great stuff, timers, weekly vendor resets, pretty much everything you need to know about this game, and I continue to add on to it almost every day. And then of course my Shadow Gaming merch store, Discord, Shadow Crew clan on all platforms, all that good stuff will be on the website and the pinned comment video description below. Otherwise, take care agents, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Shadow Gaming signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care agents and have a lovely day.